Duck Dynasty's Will Robertson just found out he has an adult daughter from a past affair. Patriarch Will Robertson and his longtime wife Kay Robertson are parents to 4 adult sons: Jeff Robertson, Willie Robertson, Jace Robertson, and Alan Robertson. However, the siblings revealed in the latest episode of their podcast they unknowingly had a sister named Phyllis all these years.
I got this letter out and I'm looking at it. Jay said, "Oh, I got that same letter." So basically, it was from a woman who said that by a DNA search, she thinks that Dad might be her dad.
Their cousin got in contact with the woman making the claims and assured Alan she wasn't.
Alright, so, okay, I should have done my research about that. Apparently they're talking about an adopted daughter, or a daughter that... Anyway, that isn't what this is about. What's good? This is News at Night. I see everyone in here. Let's just get to the story, the main story that we wanted to talk about, which is Duck Dynasty's Willie Robert recalls ugly comments targeted towards biracial son, which apparently you're talking about... Okay, I'm not sure where.
Test, it was a 99.9.
Alright, yeah. So they're talking... I don't get it. This is why I'll do it with MSN. They put another story in here that has nothing to do with the main topic on here, so we're just going to read this now. On the premiere episode of their new Facebook watch series At Home with the Robertsons, the former A&E reality star reflected on raising their biracial son, Will Robertson Jr., who they adopted when he was 5 weeks old. As Willie recalled, they were told it would take a couple of years to adopt unless they were interested in a biracial child. Noting agencies said, those are the hardest ones to place in the South. Which, I mean, think about it. This was over 20 years ago. I think the guy is like in his, I don't want to say late teens, early 20s. So this just goes to show you that old habits die hard in certain parts of the country, particularly in the Deep South. And note that the Duck Dynasty Robertson family is based in Louisiana. So I'm not surprised on that kind of information coming out from there. While the couple based in Louisiana had no issue with their son's race, they eventually realized that wasn't the case for everyone. We didn't think about it until the show happened, Corey explained to their show guests, Love and Hip Hop's Yandy and Mercedes Harris. People were like, wait, who's the black kid? Who does he belong to? We're like, our son. Now, I'm not sure about interviewing the Love and Hip Hop stars, but nonetheless, we'll overlook that. Let's continue. While Will was one of the only black kids in his grade, he had white friends and did not realize until he was older, of course that's when it usually happens, that there is more to his identity than his darker skin color. I would look myself in the mirror and be like, oh, I'm just a little bit darker. I'm just a little bit tanner, the 19-year-old described during the Facebook episode. My hair was all short and stuff. I didn't have all this texture I have now, so I was just like, I guess I'm kind of just like one of them. And then, as I got older, started realizing, I was like, oh gosh, I'm a lot different. According to Willie, the show exposed their son to racism, something he had not faced in their home. When Duck Dynasty hit, when we were on television, and you had all these racist people on there making all kind of ugly comments, Willie said, for us, it was weird because then, now he can see that. While Will did not have any accounts of his own den, he saw the commentary on Corey's Instagram page and about his race, and with his mom's permission, fired back using her account. As he put it, I went off on one post and declared he is black and adopted. Yandy, who also adopted a child, encouraged Will to know his history and connect to his black culture. She, Mercedes, also raised the importance of having a conversation with Will about how to conduct himself with police as a black man. Okay, maybe yes, but I'm not sure if people from Love and Hip Hop should be doing the conversation. While Corey wishes for an end to racism, they've readied their son to live in society as it is right now. I hate it that there are still people that are racist in this world, Corey said. I think it's a terrible thing, and I just hope and pray that one day we will live in a world where racism just doesn't exist. where no one is judged for the color of skin, but unfortunately, we do live in that world right now, that there are some people who feel that way, and we've taught Will how to deal with that, and we hope he's prepared. Okay, first of all, this is why we don't try to read off MSN, because this was a big run-on sentence, and I doubt that what they stated was that long of a sentence. But yeah, let's okay, yeah, exactly. So, and check this out. So I should have read this story. Well, when the show Duck Dynasty premiered, Will was only 10 years old. Okay, so a lot of these people were saying this to a 10-year-old, which is, yeah. So, alright, so with that being said, alright, so just to have a conversation about this story, shout out to these individuals who, Mr. Willie and Corey Robertson, who were willing to adopt a biracial son in spite of what a lot of critics may say about tribalism and everybody's sticking to your own and ain't no one got time for that. And okay, so we all realize that yes, these are turbulent times that we're living in racially. These are times in which we are, yeah, this would be a good picture. These are times in which we are as divided as ever. These are times in which everybody's sticking to their own. Everybody's, yeah, you've heard the stories. So, but with that, why is it that, and hold on, let me go ahead and go to, okay, so apparently this was on their Instagram. But everybody's sticking to their own, right? Everybody's sticking to their race. Nobody's crossing the aisle, right? Nobody's willing to talk to the other side, right? See, that's the narrative that a lot of people, or a lot of the opposition, want to feed you. They want to feed you as if, oh, you're on your own, and all you have are people who look like you, and you can't cross the other side because they hate you. Okay, fine. There are certain individuals, and there are quite a bit of individuals who may hate others because of something as vain and vague as pigmentation. But what was done here by Willie Robertson and his wife, Corey Robertson, just goes to show that there are exceptional people in this world, and they always may not look like you. So alongside that, a lot of people might say that, okay, well, why didn't he go out of his way to defend him? Why didn't he curse out the people? Why didn't he curse out the racists? Why didn't he end the show? Because his fan base being all racist and hickish. And look, for some people, it's never going to be enough. Just defending your son from racist comments, oh, that's never going to be enough. So you can't, yeah, don't mind the individuals who are just going to pull something out of their rear ends and say, oh man, this ain't going to be enough, man. He should have stuck his neck out further. Why did his mom give him her Twitter in order to go at the individuals? Why couldn't she have done it herself? Why? You know, that's all they're going to ask. And you know what? That's fine. But how, in the community, yes, how much defense have you seen of parents with their own same race child, huh? We won't go into there, huh? I mean, and a lot of people say, okay, well, he's biracial and adopted. You know what that means? His dad was a BBC Rolling Stone, and his mom was a freaking coal burner who didn't want to pay the toll, huh? That's what a lot of people, and that's what probably some individuals said about this young gentleman right here. Well, first of all, we don't even know that. For as far as we know, that it could be the opposite. And if it's the opposite, then, which it didn't state any information about his mother or his father, then, but knowing American media, it might very well be the opposite, which in that case, obviously the American mainstream media wouldn't want to mention because it would make certain people look bad, and we just can't have that, right? But nonetheless, let me see who's in the comment section. Late night? Yeah, it is a late night. I know. There aren't going to be a lot of people on. There aren't going to be a lot of people checking this out. So check out the playback. It's not going to be too long. And let me see right now. Let me see. Make this a bit bigger. And what is someone said in the comments section? Everyone thinks that the South is severely racist. It's actually quite the opposite, especially when it comes to interracial dating. Well, it depends on which part of the South. I mean, what state are you in? I think that will probably answer your question in regards to that. I mean, during my trip throughout the Southeast United States, I did notice that there were two Souths. One, which was very, I wouldn't say very racist, but it was very traditional. And one that I would say is probably leading the charge when it comes to racial progress in this nation. As a matter of fact, on a future News at Night segment, or just a segment in general, I'm going to show all of you numbers on what I've gathered in regards of biracial African Americans. Now, I'm not going to use the word biracial African Americans like they have, because I feel as if that term is a way in order to enforce the one drop rule. So we're just going to say biracial individuals of partial African descent or partial black descent. But I have numbers, I have stats, and we're going to show you some of the surprising details that you may find. And in some cases, you actually may find to confirm your point about the South being the forefront when it comes to interracial dating. So stay tuned for that. And this is actually just another example of how the South is actually defying stereotypes. I mean, you have an otherwise conservative family that Duck Dynasty, don't they run like a hunting business, or I think it's a hunting business, and correct me if I'm wrong, Duck Dynasty fans, I have not seen an episode of it, I know, but nonetheless, the fact that they were willing to adopt this kid, raise him in a well-functioning house, that speaks a lot, not just only towards the 21st century South, but more importantly, that speaks a lot towards the character of Willie Robertson, Corey Robinson, and the rest of the family. Now, we can go ahead and nitpick about this, see what they didn't do, etc. But nonetheless, I give my salute to both of these individuals, give the salute to his wife, his mom, and check this out. All right, so Willie Robertson, right? Okay, so check this out. What is the name of... Okay, pause that. What is the name of Willie Robertson? Will Robertson Jr. What is his biracial son's name? There you go. You're telling me this guy was willing to give his surname, his first and last name, not to an individual he gave birth to, which I think him and his wife, they do have a couple of biological children. Shout out to them. But the biracial son was the one who received the title of Will Robertson Jr. So that just goes to show you the character that this man has, despite the fact that they talked about having a secret daughter, which actually that was a mistake to play. So I don't know how that got in there. I blame that on MSM just throwing BS in there. I'm not sure if they're trying to do whatever. They're trying to, how should I say this? Not discredit, but trivialize or dampen the valiant raising of his biracial kid. But nonetheless, shout out to everyone who's been in here for the past several minutes. And I see comment section, Georgia, Florida, Texas, North Carolina. See, Georgia, Florida, Texas, and North Carolina are very interracial friendly because those parts are the New South. When I went to those states, I definitely noticed that the racial issues in those places weren't as bad as in some other parts. So it's definitely a tale of two Souths. And I would say even in those states, you probably want to stick to the major metropolitan areas. Maybe some college towns would be alright. But, hey, for all of you who are in the interracial friendly parts of the South, definitely enjoy. I definitely say enjoy, because where I am right now, oh yeah, those places, at least those 4 states, make where I am look like Alabama, Arkansas, Kentucky, Mississippi, freaking South Carolina, West Virginia. I'm just saying. And I'm in perhaps the most liberal state in the union. But yeah, so much for liberalness when it comes to race. Anyway, New Orleans is becoming more IR friendly because of the generation. Yeah, I went to New Orleans, and to be honest, when it came to race, that was probably the least impressive state, or the least impressive place I was in regarding the integration. If you want to have my rundown of the place I thought was the most integrated, I would say, and I hate to say this, I mean, it would surprise all you considering how many Maggles and Bebe's kids and Daggles run the show there, but the most integrated place I saw was Atlanta, specifically around the Buckhead area, followed by definitely the south parts of Florida, the Tampas and the Miami area, and then it sort of dropped off. Nashville, I was only there for a night, so I didn't see too much, but I didn't notice anything that made it seem super segregated or integrated. New Orleans, I was actually there for a day, and well, it's fun to visit. I wouldn't live there mainly because of just sort of the underlying Dixie culture that exists. And let me see. Oh yeah, actually, I put Charlotte right there with Atlanta. Granted, I was only there for an evening, but Charlotte, Atlanta, was it Orlando, Tampa? I don't doubt that these places are integrated. Houston, I have not been to Texas like I really want to, but you may want to be on the lookout for that later on this year. We may do a big Texas tour. Just take an entire week of going there, having boots on the ground, seeing how the scene is, seeing what's up, because a lot of people surprisingly have not been to a lot of these states, and if they have been, it's either been is way back when, or they were there during the layover. That doesn't count. So yeah, feel free to join me in my future videos as we hopefully shatter the old stereotypes strong, like this individual has done. So shout out to these two individuals, and look at this. He took his own boy to what is this? What is New Orleans Saints game? How many of these pro-black love people who talk about, oh, we need strong families in the community, how many of them can afford to take their son or daughter to an NFL game? Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Okay, exactly. My point. When you can buy at least one NFL ticket for you and your family, I'm not saying the season pass, I'm not saying any of that, but just one game. Not a preseason game, but a main game, a legit game. If you can buy one NFL game for you and the entire family per season, then come back to talk to me about the love in the club, in the community. All right, anyway, shout out to these two individuals. Shout out to everyone in the chat and everyone else out there. Always bet on X.